Hello and welcome back, everybody. So, today we're going to be talking a little bit more about databases and relational databases. So, if you're not really interested in what a database is or some more examples around this, you can just skip this episode, but it might be useful for all of the newcomers who wish to learn more and try to understand the subject as a whole. Now, a database does not necessarily need to be placed inside of a physical server at a separate location. I don't know if you guys are too young to remember, but when I was about maybe 10 to 15 years old, we used to get phone books sent to us, which was like a big physical book that you got actually sent in the mail, or you could pick it up at a local store. Now, this phone book is an actual database. Even though we have phone books today, but they're placed online, and the idea is sort of the same, we have much more search criteria than we used to have back in the day. So you used to get a phone book and you took it home, and if you wanted to look up anybody, you couldn't just do it by their first names, you couldn't do it by where they were living, you couldn't do it by, let's say, anything else that was in the phone book, their phone number or stuff like that. You actually had to know the person's surname. So you'd open this book and you go, oh, I want to look for my friend whose name is Smith. And you would have to go to the phone book where all the last names or surnames of S, and then you have to do SM, SMI, and then Smith. So if you just knew the first name of the person, let's say his name is Alan, then the phone book would be totally useless to you. You wouldn't really want to sit down and go through like 2,000-3,000 pages of just random people before you find your Alan. But you wouldn't even know which Alan you were looking for because, well, if you only knew the name Alan and where he lived, the chances of you getting it right the first time would be so minuscule. So apart from this phone book being a database, we also used to have big filing cabinets. I'm sure you've seen these in movies. They're like, you pull out a big drawer and inside of that drawer is a lot of files, which has information about customers or employees, or if it's a police movie, it might have information about criminals, it might house evidence, stuff like this. Now, this system was heavily relied upon all of the users taking something out, using it, putting it back in at the exact same spot. So if you had somebody that took something out and then just left it somewhere else, you wouldn't really be able to search for this anymore since it would be out of place and you would have to go through the entire filing cabinets to try to find this one thing. So there was a lot more to think about when you were handling these filing cabinets. Now, this course is obviously not going to focus on filing cabinets and phone books, but rather databases as in a relational database, which is a virtual database. As I said earlier, we were speaking about phone books. Today we have a virtual phone book which allows us to do queries on surnames, queries on first names, queries depending on the street address, maybe use the phone number. Today we have an infinite possibility of trying to find the person or the company that we want to find. And like I said before, this was not possible before the event of big relational databases or big databases as a whole. It's easier to manage a relational database over a traditional file-based database, which is pretty obvious since all of the information inside of a relational database is sectioned off. Now, we're gonna look a little bit more at this later, but for now, I'm just gonna leave it like that. It's gonna be, you're gonna see that it's separated and it's gonna make making changes and doing queries that much easier. Now, it's separated into entities, which is, like we said in the last video, the actual tables in which we have attributes. Now, the attributes is something we're going to speak a little bit more about later as well. And all of these things are placed within a table, or as we're going to call it, a relation. And this relation allows for a relationship to be established. Now, a relationship is a logical connection between two tables where we say that table 1 has something that it takes from table 2, which is unique in table 2. And that means that if I want to search information from table 1 but also include stuff that's in table 2, we can do this because of this relationship. Now, this might sound a bit muddy, and we're going to go deeper into detail on this as well. So just think of this episode as just a general overview of how this works. All of these terms that we're going to use, like entity, attribute, relation, relationship. We also got tuple, which is a particular row, or as we're going to discover later, it's called an entity occurrence. All of these we're going to become crystal clear to you throughout the course of this videos. So with all that said, I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope I see you in the next video as well.